Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. And today, we got the shop reset, and I want to talk a bit about these as usual, right? So the shop reset we got over here is we got the royal weapons back, and then we got Barbara and Kaeya back, right? So these obviously they do have monthly patterns. So this month is it's Barbara and Kaeya, and let's talk about them. Let's talk about if they're worth the glitters, right? Generally, so. When we're talking about if any of these are worth star glitters, you have to compare the amount that you could get versus how many fates you could get, right? So character Kaeya, Barbara, 34. That's almost 35, right? So that would be an equivalent of almost 7 intertwined fates or acquaint fates if you're if you have like bad eyesight like me sometimes, and then you accidentally click it. But yeah, that's basically the sort of thing you kind of have to measure, right? So the question then becomes, is Barbara and Kaeya worth 7 intertwined fates? In my opinion, Barbara definitely not, right? Barbara's definitely not. And look, nothing against Barbara. I think Barbara's slightly underrated, right? She's kind of like a mini Kokomi, but like actually like kind of dangerous for yourself to use, but I do think Koku's much better, but I think Barbara's fine as a unit. But here's the thing, first of all, everyone gets a free Barbara initially, right? And Barbara's constellations aren't anything crazy. All right, her C6 is cool. You get to revive someone. If you screw up, boom, you could revive it. That's fine and all, right? With a massive cooldown, by the way. But otherwise, I don't really feel like Barbara is something you should really go for, because again, Barbara, Barbara in comparison to Kaeya, right? The big allude for exchange for Kaeya over here is Kaeya is obviously a standard banner 4-star. You can't pull Kaeya in event pools, event character pools, and 99% of people are always pulling on the event pools, because why would you not, right? Why would you spend your primo gems in the standard banner when you could spend your primo gems in the in the event character banners, where not only, even if you do want the standard 5 stars, you could get standard 5 stars in the event banner, right? And you, again, obviously the exclusive event character, and then whatever rate up 4 stars they have over there as well, right? So Barbara's doesn't have that elude that Kaeya does, right? Because of the fact that he's a standard banner character and is relatively hard to pull for, right? Because the standard banner 4 stars are incredibly hard. Honestly, could potentially be even harder than 5 stars to pull for, right? Like event rate up 5 stars. So Barbara doesn't have that issue. And look, it's not like there's completely no argument for exchanging for like a non-standard banner 4-star over here, right? I mean, you can make an argument, say, one of the top 4 stars, if there's an Xingqiu, or if there's like a Xiangling or Bennett over there, you can make an argument, okay, you could spend star glitter on those maybe, right? But Barbara, not so much, right? Again, as much as I actually think Barbara's okay of a unit, she's definitely not really worth exchanging the star glitters for. Kaeya, on the other hand, is actually pretty interesting. Again, like we mentioned before, he is only a standard banner 4-star, right? And if you look at Kaeya's constellations, first of all, Kaeya is a very versatile unit that you could run on like so many different teams and such, right? And he could always act as a really good cryo support, right? Whether it's in freeze teams, you can run him, right? Because of the fact that, first of all, for your other cryo characters, he could regen a decent amount of particles with his E, and then you also have the burst, which has continuous like cryo applications if you run into the opponents, which isn't that big of a deal. I mean, if you're in a freeze team, running close or into the opponents isn't that big of a deal, because what are they gonna do? Get frozen and not hit you, right? So maybe it becomes a bit more of an issue in like some other teams, but like generally it's not that bad, right? But you could also run him in meld teams as well. You could run him in physical teams with electro, another electro unit to get some physical resistance debuffs there as well, right? Again, you just can run him in a lot of different teams, and he generally could do pretty well in them, right? So yeah, as for his constellations, right, some of them are pretty good, some of them not so much. C1 sucks. Like, it just increases Kaeya's normal and charge attack crit rate when they're affected by cryo, which okay. You don't really ever normal or charge attack with Kaeya that often, and also if you are running certain, double cryo teams, blizzard or whatever, you already have pretty good crit rate anyways. So like even if you are trying to normal attack, charge attack, not too much of a point, right? And then C2 is actually really, really nice, right? C2 is every time you're burst, well, it depends. It depends. If you're like fighting like one enemy stages, like one big boss, like, okay, it's kind of useless. But if you're fighting like multiple like small enemies and stuff, right? So every time your burst defeats an opponent during the duration gets increased by 2.5 seconds up to a maximum of 15 seconds. So obviously, increased duration of your ult, and the ult is the big, cryo application thing that comes out of Kaeya, right? And the longer you increase duration, the longer it's around, the more damage you do, right? Basically, and more cryo application you do. Kind of like the Xiaoling Pyro Tornado, right? Duration extension as well, except that one's just like unconditionally. This one's you have to take out people, right? C3 increases the Frost Gnaw. I think that's the E, right? Yeah. By 3 levels, which is fine, I guess, not a huge deal. C4 is okay, right? C4 is actually pretty nice. It turns your K into like again, a cryo support plus shielder, right? It's only when your HP goes under 20%, which is pretty suspect in the first place, but again, it gives you a 20-second shield, which is pretty nice, I guess. Your C5 increases your burst, which is nice. Again, not only the cryo application, you could actually do some reasonable damage on K's burst as well, right? So that's also cool. And then your C6 is one of the better ones, right? It gives you, it's kind of like one of the the Yellen C2, I guess. And so it's not really. Or I guess C2 C6 is a bit of a better comparison, I guess. But yeah, your burst just gives one more additional icicle, and then it regens 15 energy when cast. So that's really, really good. C6 is very, very good. So he's actually a really, really nice cryo support. People just don't talk too much about him because it's just so hard to get extra constellations of Kaeya, right? Which is why, again, I do think Kaeya's constellations are definitely worth picking up, especially if you do run a lot of, again, freeze or melt teams that could actually use Kaeya, right? And you really, really need that extra cryo support that could give your team some again more either cryo application or cryo energy regen, right? That being said, Rosaria can basically replace Kaeya in a lot of situations, right? And I generally feel like Rosaria is overall better than Kaeya in most situations, right? There are certain, again, some benefits, right, here and there, right? But again, like if you have Rosaria, if you have already high constellation Rosaria, right, I feel like you generally don't need Kaeya or higher constellations of Kaeya, right? But again, that being said, there's always benefit in having more than one character that do similar roles, especially if you are running 2 different teams that require those kind of characters in something like an Abyss or some of those event stages that require 2 or 3, 4 different teams, right? So yeah, again, I do think he's nice. I personally will be exchanging for him, I guess, right? Even though I don't really use him, but it's just so hard to pull for him, man. It's just so hard to pull for him, like, just in case, like, in the future, there's some, like, really, really nice, new character that would really, really like a higher constellation Kaeya. I think that would be helpful, right? But at the moment, I don't have too much use for him. I could generally just use Rosaria and be fine with most of those situations that I would otherwise need Kaeya. So anyways, that's really this one, I guess. Hope y'all enjoyed. Guys, in the comments down below. Like, share the video, share my channel for some more Genshin Impact content, I guess. In the next one, then.